Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Thursday, January 27, 2022. And the sun is in Aquarius today, as is its ruling planet Saturn. Saturn has been transiting Aquarius as well. So Aquarius is that one of those signs that has two rulerships. Saturn is the traditional ruler, and then Uranus would be the new ruler, something that was sort of put on there within the last 100 years. So traditionally it's ruled by Saturn, and with Saturn transiting the same sign, transiting that home sign for it, I would say that the influence of Saturn is very heavy. Also because of all the planets that we have in Capricorn at this time, but I'm sure I will get around to saying that in a minute. So what I'm seeing here when I reflect on the sun in Aquarius is that Saturn right now is calling in our allies, the people who are in our network of support, our circle of trust, if you will, to set specific and measurable goals for the benefit of everyone. Difference between Capricorn and Aquarius being Capricorn sets specific and measurable goals for itself and for the benefit of its own people, whereas Aquarius sets goals for the broader scope of humanity, the community, etc. The moon is in Sagittarius today, and Sagittarius is that sign that has us feeling adventurous from the heart. It has us feeling really honest from the heart. We're able to be really bluntly honest with ourselves and others, although we may lack some tact when we're speaking from the heart. It's important to do that. And it feels like we're being called to rise to some sort of an occasion here, even if that occasion is, with the waning crescent moon in effect here, just releasing, getting rid of, pushing things out the door that don't work for us any longer, that we no longer require to have in our presence. And that's about stuff, and it's also about the stuff that clutters up our heart and mind, especially like our heart and our home, because we all have attitudes and thoughts and ideas and dispositions that we can get rid of or cut ourselves loose from, so that we can hopefully proceed on some sort of adventure or quest that will bring us more universal truths, which we all seek from time to time. Okay, let's take a look at the planets on the page, and then we'll get into some interpretation. The sun represents our outer life. That is who we are in our work, social, and civic lives, how we come to engage in those spaces, and also sort of the person that people first get to know when they meet you. So who you are when you step out the front door. After the sun comes the moon. The moon represents the inner life. This is more about your relationship with yourself, those things you think, know, intuit, believe, and also how you come to engage in your home space. Who's there with you, and where does that happen to be? Mercury is your personal planet for the intellect. That is especially your day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications that you make, and the running around that you do. Venus is your personal planet for love and money. Or in other words, how do you show that how do you relate to those people and things that you value the most? How do you show them that you value them? And Mars is not on the page today. Mars represents initiative, but again, all three of these 3 out of 5 personal planets are in Capricorn at this time. I'm having a little trouble with my Christmas lights here. They're all 3 in Capricorn at this time, so there's a whole lot of really, Saturn also rules Capricorn. There's a whole lot of really heavy Saturn influence in our lives that has to do with how we relate to those structures that support us and those networks that we lean on for support, as well as our responsibility to maintain them. Jupiter is on the page today. Jupiter represents growth, expansion, positive vibrations, good fortune. Saturn is our good friend lately. Saturn, again, represents those structures we rely on for support and our responsibility to maintain them. And Pluto will take us through, take all of us through some extremes of experience, and through those extremes of experience, we are transformed. And we have a few aspect energies on the page today. Square represents the potential for challenges. Sextile is a positive, cooperative aspect. And conjunct tends to amplify the effects of both planets involved. Okay, let's get into these aspects. The page is divided into two columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon sheds light on our inner lives. The aspects on this side are really very brief. They take about 2 hours, and then the moon's transits are only 2.5 days. So moon moves quickly, and what these aspects bring up for us are moods, feelings, intuitions, stuff we experience on the inside, things that are not necessarily seen out in the world. And then the sun sheds light on our outer lives, and I address the sun's aspects and all the other planets' aspects on this side because they have more to do with our behavior out in the world, and they also take longer than those lunar aspects. We start with the moon today, Central Standard Time, friends, at 12:02 p.m. in the afternoon, right around noon. The moon makes a square with Jupiter. So moon in aspect with Jupiter is usually a pretty good time. We feel good about ourselves. We feel generous and wide open and expansive, and we can feel the growth in our lives and the good fortune possibilities. So everything's available to us at this time. The square aspect does bring in the challenge of potentially overindulging. If everything is available to you, that doesn't mean that you have to consume or take on everything at the same time. Moderation is the key, especially when you're dealing with a guy like Jupiter who will just keep giving and giving and giving. Okay. And then on the sun side of the page, in the ongoing column, Venus in retrograde is with us for just a couple more days. So probably you've been feeling the effect of Venus in retrograde slowing down and then appearing to be stationary. And if you just think of how in retrograde the planet appears to be going against the flow and the kind of ripples that might create in the flow, and then as it slows down and stops, there's a whole other different kind of splashing and rippling that happens. And then once it begins to go direct, it will be in the flow and there won't be so much splashing and rippling. So we're in the splash and ripple phase. We might be seeing sort of a culmination of the last 6 weeks worth of Venus retrograde, where we've been examining ourselves and how we behave in relationship to those people and things that we like, love, and can't get enough of. We've been examining how those relationships are working out for us, like are we getting the value for the investment we're making? Are we making enough investment? Are we getting the value for the investment we're making? And, just sort of trying to decide what commitments need to be reaffirmed and which ones need to be allowed to fall away. So at this time, since we've been giving all of that a lot of thought, whether we did so consciously or not, I would say don't be afraid to take the lead, okay? If there's something that you know needs to change or be adjusted in any of your relationships, and I'm talking about your romance relationships, but also your friends and family, and also especially because Venus is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the work that you do, your relationship with your work, and the relationship with the people who employ you or that you contract with to do your work. So don't be afraid to take the lead and say, this is what I need. This is what I need in order to be able to maintain this commitment. Be honest about it. Be ethical. Don't try to get more than you're willing to give. Don't try to, come out on top of a deal to the detriment of the other person. That's not good relating. In this mode, as long as we're really concise with our communication, we can solve some problems for ourselves and make our relationships in general a little bit better. and that, that involves us, that involves you personally stepping up sometimes and taking the lead in your relationships. That involves you at least having leadership with yourself enough to say, I know where I fall short, and I'm going to try to stop falling short on those things. I'm going to step up and take the lead with myself and bring to my relationships what they deserve. And then just have the conversation about what you also need. And that will probably help you solve some problems. Mercury in retrograde through the 3rd. So Mercury is also about to station and go retrograde. Again, those ripples, that extra ripply effect is coming in right now before it goes back into the flow. So you're a kind, crafty, and smart person, and you've proven that to yourself over these past couple of weeks in Mercury retrograde. Just in being able to surmount any difficulties you might have had making communications, whether those were technical difficulties with the gear that you use. I know I've experienced some technical difficulties with the gear that I've used, but also, miscommunications or, plans that got dropped and had to be picked back up. Like, you've proven to yourself that you can proceed and that you can still make headway on the goals that you've set for yourself and get that feeling of satisfaction, even while Mercury is in retrograde, even though there are obstacles in your way. And again, Mercury in retrograde is in Capricorn, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So this is why I keep mentioning Saturn. It's about the work that we're doing. And we can celebrate the work that we've done during this time. Celebrate yourself just because you're such a kind, crafty, and smart person that you've been able to come through this with little to no fuss. And then today on the sun side of the page, the sun makes a sextile with the moon at 2:47 p.m. This is an indicator of the moon's phase. It's basically the halfway point between that 3rd quarter moon and the new moon that's coming up. So when the sun is sextile with the moon, that is the outer life in a sort of cooperative accord, cooperative vibration with the inner life. Our outer self is cooperating and working with our inner self. And cooperation makes things happen. It's dynamic. It generates stuff. And right now, some fresh perspectives are available to us just by allowing our outer life to work a little bit with our inner life. So that outward projection of you, like taking into consideration also how you feel so that you can be honest and ethical in your dealings with other people. Coming up tomorrow, Mercury is going to make a conjunct with Pluto. So this is one of Mercury's final punches on the way out. It's been through a lot of aspects that seemed to be there just to intensify the effect of Mercury retrograde with us. We had a conjunct with the sun, and we had a perihelion. Now Mercury is going to go conjunct with Pluto, and so the intensity takes on a new shade. So Pluto is really the planet that brings us intense and extreme experiences, and Mercury in retrograde tends to give us shakeups in our communication and our ability to plan. So expect the best for some sort of combination of those things tomorrow. And then on Saturday, Venus will go direct back into the flow of things, not so much splashy and ripply around the relationship aspect of the life. Tuesday, we have a new moon in Aquarius. The sun is in Aquarius, and the new moon will be in Aquarius too. That's when we'll start celebrating our clean slate and filling it again with intentions. And the end of this month and the beginning of next month, January 31st through the 2nd of February approximately, these are the dates for Imbolc, which is the celebration halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox that says, hey, look, winter's almost over. The days are getting longer. The leaves are sprouting on the trees. The daffodils are blooming, and new life is coming our way. And we sort of welcome the warmth of the sun at that time. And that is it for today's aspects. I sure appreciate you all showing up and hearing me out and taking a little bit of a look into not the distant future, just our current day, how things have been going, how they are right now, and what might be coming up. And I'm in the habit now of throwing a tarot card at the end of my aspects. If you have come this far, please give me a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share this with somebody it might resonate with. I appreciate all of that activity. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below the video and I will see them and respond. So there is already a tarot card sitting on the table. This is the tarot card that represents the first 1/3 of Aquarius Sun transit. And it'll be with us through the 29th here, just long enough to see Venus retrograde out the door. And it's the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords definitely represents a little bit of a debacle in that it's an air sign, so it talks about our communications and the plans that we make, and especially like our ability to win battles. And I've been saying this over and over again every day, but I just really want to remind you that winning isn't everything. Being right isn't everything. You know, what good does it do a person to be right about everything or to be capable of winning every battle if the result is that, you know, nobody really wants to deal with them? You know, like I'm not going to battle with you. In fact, I'm not going to talk with you, and I'm not going to look at you either, because every time I open my mouth to you, you've just got to win a fight, right? So sometimes we feel the wind in our hair and we feel like it's a good day for a little bit of a verbal sparring, and not everybody's going to feel the same way, and we've got to be prepared for that. Okay, so as for today, I am shuffling my cards while I remind myself that the Sun and Saturn are both transiting Aquarius. Saturn does rule Aquarius with Uranus, and Saturn also rules Capricorn, which Venus and Mercury and Mars are all in Capricorn right now. Pluto, our planet for transformation, is also in Capricorn right now. So expect some momentum coming up, especially as these come out of retrograde, some momentum toward the work that we have to do and the goals that we have set for ourselves, and some momentum toward transformation in our lives and the lives of people around us. You know, there's a pretty positive lunar aspect here that just says, you know, have fun, try not to overindulge. And there's a really positive solar aspect here that just says, you know, you can work with yourself and gain some fresh perspectives. So that's all really good news to me. And with all of that said, we'll turn over a card. The Chariot. Okay, I love the Chariot. I always say I love every card, but I do love most of them. I love the Chariot, especially in this deck. This person is riding a motorcycle. Traditionally, it would be just a chariot that is drawn by these two beasts. I don't know if I'm going to get that light back, for folks. Anyway, by willpower alone does this person get things done. This is really about being able to harness impulses that could take us in all different directions, and to set their eyes on the goal that we set for ourselves as divinely guided and inspired human beings who are on our own paths and have our own goals. And, you know, again, Capricorn is about the work you do. Capricorn loves to set goals and loves that feeling of success that comes with having achieved a goal. So this is a great card for that, setting these measurable goals, you know, and just driving ourselves forward to meet our goals so that we feel that satisfaction, that feeling of success, that self-confidence that comes with it. Okay, friends, thank you so much for joining me today. This is Melanie Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for some more daily aspects.